list of seeds that are permissible for sale, and a lot of these small amateur seed sellers can't afford the fees required to put their seeds on the list. So the EU is killing biodiversity by saying that only those big companies that can afford to put them on the list can sell them, and so the diversity is going to decline even further. So there are some companies in the U.S. that are pretty good at introducing new varieties each year. So if you're inclined to garden, these are some of the companies that I recommend. Seed Savers Exchange, Sand Hill Preservation. They don't just have vegetables, but they also have things like heritage chickens. Native Seed Search, which is a company that tries to preserve the seed favored by the indigenous populations of the Southwest. Hortus Botanicals, and then Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. So some people are doing good, and other people, like the EU government, are trying to kill it. All right, so another issue is GMOs. Do people know what GMOs are? GMO, genetically modified organism. Has anybody heard of that before they saw the words on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a.
It's a proposition.
Yeah.
Prop 37. Yes on 37. Yes on 37. I'm not really political, but it was a big California proposition. Over 60% of Californians were in favor of requiring California to label food that contained genetically modified organisms or ingredients derived from genetically modified organisms. But we're in big ag, and big agribusiness has the power because they have the money. And Monsanto donated over $4 million to negative campaigns to convince Californians that didn't know any better to vote against labeling. Who on earth could possibly think there was anything wrong with allowing somebody to know what's in their food? So we have to go through all these political loops to get permission to know what's in our food. Because without telling them, you have to do this, they're not going to put the label on our food. Now, I'm not saying that all genetically modified organisms or products are bad. I'm a molecular biologist. I personally have created genetically modified organisms. Not to those for the purpose of food, for the purpose of research, but I have created genetically modified organisms. They're not all bad. Without genetically modified organisms, diabetics wouldn't have insulin to inject into their arms. Right? But that's a little different having a medicine purified from an organism designed to manufacture it than eating a food that was genetically modified by questionable means. Right? So because of Monsanto and some of these other companies that you might think are good and green, the people on this side contributed money against labeling, against your right to know. Monsanto, cashew, silk, milk, something here that's even labeled organic. I can't read, I'm sorry, I'm blind. These people on this side contributed towards the labeling campaign. Okay. There's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with people who make food saying you don't have the right to know what's in the food you're eating. Okay? But unfortunately, they won because there's a lot of ignorant people, I guess, out there who believe them. And we lost. Yes?
I heard that it was really ahead, and then when that commercial came out saying that it would cost people like an extra $400 a year in groceries or something, like right after that ad came out, it switched.
Yeah. And, powerful motivator, and people don't have enough money. But what they didn't tell you was, at what cost? At what cost you might be saving money now, but at what cost? At the cost of destroying the environment, and at the potential cost of medical bills in the future due to whatever unforeseen consequences might arise due to having eaten food that has been artificially manipulated. Okay? 75% of the processed foods you eat contain some type of ingredient derived from a genetically modified organism. It can contain corn that itself is genetically modified, or it can contain some ingredient that was isolated from a genetically modified organism.
Well, how do you answer the people who say all of the foods are genetically modified anyway? Even though
No.
rice that they're eating,
That's
is
different.
what is through the natural selection?
No, there's genetically modified means it was artificially manipulated to put in some gene that wasn't there to begin with, that couldn't necessarily have gotten there by natural means. Natural hybridization, you can't stop natural hybridization. You plant a colored plant here and a purple Russian kale here and let nature take its course, and next year you're going to get some type of cross between the two parents. That's not genetically modified. That's nature taking its course. Genetically modified is a scientist altering the genetic makeup of an organism.
I have a question. How is that as say like 75% of processed foods come from genetically engineered compared to other nations, other developed nations in the world?
We're one of the few countries that allow this. Most countries don't allow it. Even China doesn't allow it. And China has its own issues with food safety, but they don't allow it.
Thanks.
It's Canada and the U.S. has the biggest problem.
But does it mean that down the road they might lose out
I doubt it.
by the economic forces, you know?
We'll see. Yeah, I can't predict the future, but it looks like it looks like these other countries have more common sense than we do.
Oh, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. I'm just trying to throw in monkey wrench into the forces that shapes, our society, and we cannot avoid, the forces.
I think we're going to. Actually, there's a big march in Los Angeles. I can't go to it because I have other things to do. But this Saturday, there's a march against Monsanto this Saturday in Los Angeles. You can go on Facebook and find out details about the march against Monsanto this Saturday. Even baby food, even formula. Breast is best. If you're going to go with formula, it's got, unless it's labeled organic, it has genetically modified soy in it, probably. There's a current petition online at the Cornucopia Institute that you can sign to convince the makers of Similac, Abbott Laboratories, to remove genetically modified organisms from their baby formula. It's called the Cornucopia Institute. I said that, so you can't, it's really hard to avoid genetically modified food. It's either the food itself, it's been genetically altered, or some ingredient derived from it. Because, for example, 94% of all the soybeans grown in this country are genetically modified. Monsanto, Roundup Ready soybeans, 94% of them. The formula contains soy. It's most likely genetically modified. Cotton, 90% of cotton is genetically modified. Well, you say, I don't care what about I'm growing, but cotton oil is also in food, I believe. Canola oil. Canola in and of itself is a controversial issue, but 90% of all canola oil, which is in most of your vegetable oil mixes, or just straight canola oil, is genetically modified. Sugar beets, and so sugar